Just focus on adding value and the money will come. Have you heard those words from somebody? Have you heard those words in the marketplace and you are so confused as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a entrepreneur, maybe you're on YouTube, you're on some of the other social media platforms, and you feel like you've been sold a big lie because you've been adding value, you've been doing the things, but you're not getting the cheddar. So follow with me in this video. I'm going to expose this because I think it's oftentimes it's a pretty word. It's a fancy thing that people say, and the truth of the matter is you can focus on adding all the value in the world, but if you don't have a monetization strategy, if you don't know how to monetize an offer, if you don't know how to monetize a message, if you don't know how to monetize the value that you're presenting, then you can focus on adding the value, but it's not going to lead you to profitability. And if you have a business or want to have a business, then the goal of the business is to generate a profit. It's called a for-profit business, and part of that is to generate a customer and then to service that customer, to fulfill on your offer, and that's where a lot of people fail. But then there's a lot of people in the market that are failing before that step even. They're failing before that step because the online world, the entrepreneurship world is so focused on these fancy, pretty sayings, and they sound great. They sound great, but they keep so many people stuck, and that's what I want to peel back in this video for you. So let's deconstruct that. Just focus on adding value and the money will come. Well, here's the thing. There are plenty of people that have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, but they don't make any money. And why is that, guys? Like, why is that? And I think this saying comes out of a good place, perhaps, because people are struggling. They're like, I don't know how to add value. I don't know what to do, whatever. But here's the thing. Value is different to every single person. To one person, sports may have no value, but to another person, it's highly valuable. To another person, sports has no value, but the viewership has value. And so you have companies that are willing to pay to advertise, which creates value. And so this whole idea of value and what you're pushing into the marketplace has to be deconstructed. Like, we have to really get to the essence of something, because if you want to talk about making a perfect offer, or if you want to talk about launching a new product, or if you want to talk about raising your bottom line in your business, then this is part of the conversation. And a lot of businesses, a lot of people don't have a strategy. They're like, okay, I'm gonna make this thing, but they don't have a strategy on how they're going to take that thing and push it into the marketplace so that it generates a profit. And profit kind of has this nasty connotation to a lot of people oftentimes, but what does profit really mean? Like, what does profit really mean? It's an exchange between you and someone else. See, if you just give people stuff over and over and over again, it's a handout. People start to resent handouts. Like, they don't really want it that much. It's only when value is exchanged that the relationship is complete. Like, the relationship between you and a customer, if you're a business owner, that's the relationship. The relationship forms after the money has really been exchanged. Before then, you're sort of courting, you're sort of dating, you're warming up. But it's only after that transfer of value that the relationship truly begins. And here's the thing. That person gave you, business owner, money in exchange for the value that you have. And all people want to feel like they're getting a good deal. So you as a business are giving value to someone, and that someone's not going to buy if they're like, dude, this is just way overpriced, I'm just not doing it. People buy, psychologically, people buy emotionally, they purchase emotionally, and they justify with logic. They justify, well, here's why this deal was good for me. Here's why I got a good deal. Here's why it's meaningful. Look at all the stuff that I got. And for the business owner is like, yeah, I feel good about delivering this value, this product or service or whatever it may be, to this person in exchange for this monetary compensation. That's the fundamental relationship there. And most often, that product either solves some sort of pain or leads people towards some sort of solution. And ultimately, it's a solution, it's a payoff. That's the thing that you have in general. It's the payoff that they're looking for. And they're really looking to take themselves out of pain or towards pleasure. I mean, those are the two basic things there. And so if you just focus on adding value, then you're really failing in your mission as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as somebody else, if you're not in some way pushing that forward, unless you have the pockets to do it and you're focused more on, say, building a brand, and then you capitalize on that later. But ultimately, you're capitalizing on it at some point. I think Ryan Reynolds is a great example of this, because he built his brand and then he went out there, man. This is a long game. It's a long game when you start looking at these things. But then he went out and he utilized his brand and he utilized brilliant business strategy. And he purchased Mint or started that up, Mint Mobile. And then he used his brand and he did a ton of news hijacking, brilliant. And he used that brand to then push that forward and then monetize on the back end. But that was only after, however many years, 15, 20, I don't know how many years of work that he had done to build that brand. And he got paid to build that brand as an actor and whatever other stuff he did. But it was through that process that if he had done it earlier, he might not have had the trust and credibility with his audience in order to get that purchase. So there is a case for adding that value, but you have to have some sort of strategy to monetize. Otherwise, you'll get to the end and you'll have done all this work without getting an equal reward. So I hear this all the time, and it's frustrating to me as a business owner, because I see so many people that are stuck, that are entrepreneurs, that want to start an online business, that want to start some sort of business, and they get stuck in this cycle of, well, I just need to figure out how to add more value. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, what do you find valuable? I tell people, you're most often best positioned to serve the person who you once were. So in what way are you adding value to people? And that can be all sorts of different things. You could start a waste disposal business. You could literally go out and start this and have a history in logistics. But because of that history in logistics, you're able to piece together the software and all the stuff so that you can go out there, you can have your employees, you can hire people, you can calculate the best routes, and you can actually get the job done and save people money on the back end, which they're willing to switch service for, unless they have loyalty to the other brand. As long as you have, a same amount of trust and ethics and morality and whatever those people identify with. So, again, this bothers me because you have so many people, and let's just imagine you're Amazon, AMZ. Let's imagine you're Amazon. Do you think you're going out there and starting a company with no idea how to monetize at some point? You're like, okay, I've got this idea. It's back in the 90s. I'm going to start up and I'm going to start selling books. Well, immediately, books, exchange of value, right? That's an exchange. We're going to carry these products and then we're going to ship them, but we can ship them because we can house them in a warehouse versus having all these distributed stores across the US. So we understand, and here's how the numbers are going to add up and here's how the numbers are going to work. And then you say, okay, we want to grow this company into an internet company, really a logistical company, and then web services company. And you go to investors and you go to those investors and you're like, hey guys, I've got this big plan. We want to add all this value for people and we want to do all this stuff. And the investors look back at you and they say, okay, well, what sort of return do you expect to get? Well, I don't know. I'm just focusing on adding value. Well, how do you plan on capturing and turning that into money on the back end? Well, I don't know, guys. We're just focused on adding value, adding value, adding value. No, that way you would never get any money there. You would never do that. You would say, okay, guys, we're setting this up and we think we're going to get this return on these implementations. We're not sure. Here's our risk level. Here's all of this stuff, right? And then you make a pivot and you're like, okay, actually, because we've got all this cloud software built out, now we can monetize over here. And then we can also set up a subscription service for continuity where people just pay us every month and then we give them free shipping and other cool stuff. That's how that works. And I can't tell you how many people are trying to start a business without actually looking at the numbers, or how many people who have existing businesses that are not looking at their numbers sufficiently to drive up their margins. So many businesses that I talk to, they can cut poor products, they need to cut people, they need to implement some form of automations oftentimes, they need to implement follow-ups, lead generation, sales. There's all these areas to optimize and to clean up the 1,000 little holes in the boat that you call a business. And they're like, okay, well, we can add this, but they don't focus on the numbers and especially the bottom line. I mean, that's the thing. People were like, well, I'm doing $1 million a month. And I'm like, okay, cool. What's your margin? And they're like, well, we only have, $30,000 profit. And I'm like, well, that sucks. You got 3% margins, really? Like, no. So guys, I just want to emphasize this, that there's a lot of things that are set out in the marketplace that if you put them under scrutiny, if you think about them, you're like, no, this doesn't actually make sense. Yes, you do have to have value. Amazon did provide value. That looks more like a check mark than a V. They did provide value. You have to have a good product. And so many people mess this up because they're like, okay, whoops, here we go. They're like, okay, I've got this thing and it's so great. I'm gonna go tell everybody about it. But the truth is it's really like a 2 out of 10. It's not that good. And if you go tell a bunch of people about it, you just burn through your trust. So you do want to focus on, especially initially, like you want to focus on providing value. Like you want to make sure that's not a 2. You want to make sure that's like an 8, 9, or a 10, right? So you have to have the value. But I see so many people that are working and then they get their stuff up to an 8, 9, or 10, but then they have no idea how to monetize. They have no idea how to turn that value into money. They have no idea how to turn it into either memberships or continuity, subscriptions, newsletters, events, boot camps, workshops, like online summits, seminars, speaking, writing books, selling products based off of it, based off the branding. So there's so many different ways that you can turn something into that money, but where there is no profit, there is no mission. Unless that money's coming from somewhere, unless you're from the lucky sperm club, as Tony Robbins likes to say. Unless you're from that club, unless you've already had a successful business, which if you have, then you probably understand these business principles in the first place. But if you're not, and you're stuck over here just thinking, I just need to get better, I need to get better, I need to get better, the truth is, you have to learn how to monetize. And part of that is learning how to monetize from a 2 and then get your product better. But you don't start off charging when you monetize and you're not as good. You don't start off charging the big bucks. You got to start off where you're at, because the exchange of value, like I said at the start of the video, the exchange of value, everybody wants to feel like they're getting a deal. And you have to be willing to understand that it takes time to get good. And because of that, you have to exchange with somebody else, and you have to feel good about that value exchange with the belief that you know that you are going to get better, and that you getting better will hopefully lead to more profits. And I wasn't planning on covering this in this video, but I'll just talk about it for a second. So then I see people get really, really good, right? So they're a 10 and they've sort of monetized along the way, but then nobody knows who they are. Like they've only got a small amount of monetization. They just have this small areas of expertise. So they're really good, but they're the best kept secret in the world. And like nobody cares how good you are. They care, yes, they care about how good you are, but they also care about knowing you. And if you're the best coach, like let's say you're the best football coach in the world, but nobody knows you exist, you're never going to make it to a head coach. Let's say that you have the best new revolutionary blender. Well, that's great. You've sunk 10 years into R&D and you've got all this stuff, but nobody knows who you are, doesn't matter. Which is why I thought Ninja did so well years ago when they came out. It wasn't just that they had an awesome blender. It's not just that they had an awesome product. They created a great product, but then they also understood the marketing side of it. Because best doesn't always win. Best known is better than best. Best known gets compensated far more and they add more value to the market because they actually get distributed into the market more. So what is better there? It's, it helps people. They're looking for a solution. And because they actually cared about their customer enough to market it to their customer appropriately, then they actually helped more people, even if it was an inferior product. And I have nothing about that. I don't know anything about blenders. I love the Ninja that I used to have. I don't have one anymore. But do you see how that adds up? So I want you on the other side to look at this. And if you're listening to these people online, social media gurus, and they'll just repeat this, just add more value, just add more value, just add more value. Yes, it does take adding value, but if you don't have a clear process for how to linearly take that value, and turn it into dollars, you have no business at the end of the day. Now, the fun thing about this is it's all in relation to timelines. If you have a big enough bank account, then if you can take the time, if you can withstand that, then you've got a business. If you can monetize it on the back end and you're just worried about putting out value with some time turning that into dollars, then you've got a business. But still, you have to have a plan. And man, I've talked to people that have millions of followers on different social media platforms, and I'm like, okay, great. Like you've got a big audience here, right? You've got a big audience, and they're engaged. Like they want to purchase stuff from you. They want to go deeper with you. They want to actually engage with you further. They want access to you more than just through social media. And they're broke, living at their parents' basement, and they're like, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm really popular on social media, but I can't afford to go buy a cheeseburger. That sucks. Right, guys? So it's not who has most followers that makes most money. Don't confuse the two. You've got to have a strategy. Well, whoops, I didn't mean to do a dollar there. You've got to have a strategy in order to create some money, which means you've got a business, and that money is based off the value that you provide and that customer relationship. Like I said, that fundamental relationship where that completes the relationship when you exchange that money. So guys, I hope this helps. I hope it helps clear up some of the confusion. There's so much confusion out there. There's so many popularized things in the world of business that are holding both established business owners into this paradigm. Established business owners that are sort of pursuing these false paths. They're sort of pursuing these different things, and they're not really focused on how to maximize their margins and how to deliver more value for their customer, because when you have more money with more margin, then you can provide better products, better service, and ultimately create happier clients. And that's really what you want. we're all in the people business, man. Like, we're all in the people business, and we want people to feel good. We want to change how people feel, and we want them to be raving fans. And if you want to do that, then you've got to understand that you've got to monetize so that you can actually pour in more value to people. So guys, hope that helps. My name is Kalen Compass. I don't like long intros. I wrote a book last year. I'll put it down in the comments. If you're a business owner, if you want to start a business, if you want any of those things, it's packed full of timeless strategies, principles that will help you not only in your business, but your personal life. And I promise it's going to help you break through to that next level like never before. So guys, hope this helps. Be great.